Hey everyone. So, we already know how many people feel stuck in the limitations of conventional medicine, and that's exactly why I created Holistic Health with Melissa to take you on a journey from conventional to crunchy. Here, you'll get empowering wellness insights, practical tips, and faith centered strategies to help you feel your absolute best. In each episode, we'll dig into what true health and wellness really means. We'll dive into nutrition, lifestyle, mindset, and detox, all things so important to your health. We'll chat about raising kids with intention and living life of faith. So join me to reclaim your energy, embrace your healthiest life, and find joy and purpose along the way. Hey, ladies. Thank you for being here. I am so excited to dive into today's podcast. But first, I want to grab your full attention really quick because I want to talk about something really exciting that's coming up. If you have been feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, anxious, or you feel like you're just living in constant survival mode, then listen up because this is for you. I am hosting a brand new 3-day mind-body healing workshop. It's unlike anything I've ever done before. This is for you if you're a woman who feels like you've tried everything. You've tried all the supplements, the diets, the therapy, the positive thinking, and you still feel stuck in your stress, stuck in your symptoms, and in a spiral of burnout and survival mode. Over the course of these 3 powerful days, I'm going to teach you the exact nervous system regulation techniques that helped me and hundreds of women like you finally get out of fight or flight, start healing from chronic stress and trauma, and reconnect with our true selves, reclaiming our energy, getting our confidence back, and finally living in alignment with God's calling. You'll learn how to calm your body in real time, release trapped emotions and patterns that are keeping you stuck, release those limiting beliefs that are ruminating in your head, reclaim your energy and your mental clarity, regulate your emotions instead of reacting, rebuild your confidence and self-trust, and start feeling safe in your body again. This isn't just about managing your symptoms, it's about transformation. It's about becoming the woman who no longer feels like she's barely holding it all together. It's about healing at the root of your symptoms so you can finally feel that peace, your power, and your purpose in your everyday life. It's practical, powerful, and it's exactly what your nervous system has been craving. So grab your spot now. The link is in the show notes. There's limited spots available. I cannot wait to walk through this with you. See you there. Welcome back to Holistic Health with Melissa. I am so pumped that you're here today because I have a special guest and I can't wait to unpack everything that she does. We align on so many levels, and both of our passions. We're just talking right now before we started this recording, and both of us want to share our story to bring hope to other people. And I just love that about you, Melissa. And
thank you.
My name is also Melissa. So
yeah.
We're like Melissa squared. This is great.
Yes.
So welcome, Dr. Melissa.
Thank you.
So excited for you to be here and just share your wisdom to all of our listeners. Thank you for taking the time to be here with me today.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad to have this opportunity to share.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've loved the most about podcasting is it really gives so many people an opportunity to share their own personal story and what health means to them and how they get into certain things. And each one of us has unique gifts and experiences that can lend, other people can borrow from our experience to help them transform their own lives. And I know you have a really powerful testimony. I would love to kind of unpack some of that if you'd be willing to just kind of share kind of your journey and like how you wound up here and being a pharmacist,
Yeah.
having your own business and what that has looked like for you.
Okay. Well, I went to pharmacy school at Campbell University. I live in North Carolina, and I wanted to work in an independent pharmacy when I graduated. That had been my experience in the past and worked at one back home. But when graduation came, I realized that there were very few, if any, independents in the area where my husband and I were living that were hiring. There was only one, and they could only offer me part-time work. And I was like, I really need full-time work. Gotta make that money, pay back those loans. And so I kept looking and eventually did interview and got a job with CVS. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I was not prepared at all for the pace and everything that was expected of us. And it was a lot. And I did the best that I could and tried my hardest and would go in early and I would stay late because if you've never worked in a retail pharmacy, everything you do is counted and measured and tracked. And so, prescriptions have to be done within a certain time frame and phone calls. And there were so many metrics and vaccines. And then COVID happened. And so there was just a lot that was going on, a lot that I did not expect. And then I would say the biggest thing that changed for me was on Friday, November 30th of 2018. I had gone into work early, like I'd always done, wanted to get the queues cleared and, so that when we opened, we were ready to go and we weren't behind. And I got a phone call from my mom's work, and it was one of her coworkers, and she was calling to tell me that my mom had just found out that my sister had been shot and killed by my uncle in my grandma's house, and he had also killed her boyfriend as well. Could I come home? My mom needed me. And I was like, of course I can. And so you know, I couldn't leave the pharmacy right away. I couldn't leave it unattended. So the pharmacy manager got there as quickly as she could. And the store manager actually drove me home because my husband had gone out of town that day. And so on December 5th, which should have been my sister's 26th birthday, is the day that we had her funeral. And I was right back at work a week later. So Friday to Friday, I was back. And that changed everything for me. And that, growing up, I accepted Jesus as my savior, I think around 12 or 13, was baptized at my home church. And so I knew the Bible. I knew that God doesn't promise us tomorrow. I knew that, but it was not until then that I actually understood it. And so for years, working every other weekend, working every other holiday, I missed out on so much with my family, vacations and time with them. And now my sister was gone and I can't get that time back. And so about 2 years later, so on December 4th of 2020, my husband comes into work and lets me know that my dad has passed away from cancer. And so yet again, I'm at work in this place going through this all over again. And I don't remember, maybe I was probably back at work a week later. And so it was just a lot. And then that was COVID and the vaccines and the mandates and all of that. It was just too much. And I got to the point where I hated being a pharmacist. I regretted my decision to go to pharmacy school. I was like, why did I do this? Was a terrible idea. And what am I going to do now? And so I was at a really low point. It was a dark place. I begged my husband, please don't make me go to work. I don't want to do this anymore. And he was like, you have to go. We've got bills to pay. And so I kept going and I knew something had to change and it had to be me. I knew that my situation, my job was not going to get better. I had to be the one that made the change. And so I ended up taking a leave of absence, and through God working in my life and bringing different people into my path, I was able to take that leave of absence, learn about pharmacogenomics, which we can talk about a little bit later, and to be able to start my own business. I had no idea what I was doing, but I felt like this was the best opportunity for me so that I could began to have my own schedule, spend more time with my family, and actually help patients in a meaningful way.
Wow. What a powerful testimony and story. I can relate to that on so many levels. I remember feeling very much the same way in
Hmm.
my own career. I lost my brother tragically also, but it was a long time ago. I was not at work when that happened, but still
Yeah,
it was very tragic and traumatizing. But
yeah,
I remember that feeling of being like, I cannot do this for another second. Please don't
yeah,
make me go to work. I hate this.
yeah,
Um, ultimately, eventually, I shifted, and now I look back and I realize, oh, I had to do that. Like that was part
right,
of it
right,
for me to get to where I am now. I had to
yeah,
have a nursing background and change all those jobs and have the ICU experience and all that. I had
right.
to do all of that. Do you feel now, I know it's still, only been a few years, but do you feel like you've gotten to a place now where you can see how that had to happen for like
Yeah,
had to go through it that way?
yes, yeah. I spent a lot of time mad at God for, letting that happen. That's, what I thought, for allowing that to happen, for her to suffer like that, just imagining what that was like for her, for my grandma, my grandma actually just recently passed away about 6 weeks ago. But the blessing in that was that I'm working for myself, and I was able to spend time with her in her last few days. I got the chance to say goodbye. I didn't get that with my sister and with my dad. And so, yeah, I have a theme verse for my business, and it is from Second Corinthians. Let's see. Um, And it's verses 3 and 4. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our affliction, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. And so I know that all that I went through, I didn't want it to be for nothing. I wanted something good to come out of this. And I know I would not be able to help women in the way that I am now if I wouldn't have gone through that. And so God was able to give me that comfort and bring me through those dark times. And so now that's what I'm trying to do to help women, so that I can get them through their dark times as well.
I love that. That's so powerful. Like I was saying before we started recording, I really do feel like our testimony is um so powerful, and it really helps other people realize and understand and really feel like they're not alone, because
Yeah.
going through stuff, especially trauma, um, you can feel so alone. Like you're the only
Yes.
person in the world that's ever experienced this, and
Yeah.
maybe the individual circumstances are unique to you, and of course, like your individual experience is unique.
Right.
There are so many people every single day that struggle with traumatic experiences and trauma and stress and all of those things. So
Hmm.
how do you use that now, your experience and all of the knowledge that you have, like from your, days as a pharmacist in CVS? Like, how do you use
Hmm.
those two like buckets to merge that huge base of knowledge that you have to
Yeah.
help other women?
So there's three pillars really to my business. So I mentioned the genetic testing for medications. And so I was at CVS almost 8 years. And so there were many times where I saw people struggling. They would come in, they'd get a prescription, they'd leave. You might see them back in a week or two. Oh, this didn't work, or I didn't like the way this made me feel, or whatever the case was. And there were many times where they're just coming back and forth. They're tired, they're exhausted, they're spending money, and they were frustrated. And there were even times where people were like, well, nothing's working. I'm just going to stop taking all of my medicines. And I'm like, that's not good either. And so by doing this genetic test, a simple cheek swab, we can see what medications maybe we should stay away from because they may not work for you, they may not be effective in helping you, or they could actually be harmful for you to take. So you can cut down on that trial and error, that back and forth. And then there's also something we didn't learn in pharmacy school, or at least that I can remember it was emphasized, was our nutrition and our wellness. So eating the right foods, the hydration, the physical activity. And so, yes, I'm a pharmacist by training, but I would rather you not take the medications if at all possible. I know some people do need those. And if you do, that's okay. Let's make sure you're on the right one. But I've seen over the last few years how important it is for the foods that we eat, regulating our blood sugar, our sleep. And so if we address those issues, and you can do genetic testing for that to make sure we know what foods you actually need. Are you more prone to injury with exercise? Because what happens when you get injured with exercise? You're like, oh, well, now I can't exercise, so I'm just going to give up. And then we go back to our lifestyle. But so many different things we can learn from that test as well to give you a personalized plan rather than just, picking some sort of meal plan or diet and hoping it'll help. And so that's important for our mental health as well. And then that spiritual piece, that's the other component. And for so long, I resisted bringing my faith into my business. The enemy said, don't do that. No one wants to hear about that. You need to keep those two things separate. And I was like, okay. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I can't not talk about it because I would not be here if it were not for that. So I help women in all three of those areas because we're a whole person. God made us a whole person with all of those different aspects, and we can't just address one and not the other. So the physical, the mental, and the spiritual.
Yeah, I love that. Praise Jesus for
Yes.
for just the conviction for you to bring him into your business, because I can also relate to that. Like I remember feeling that same feeling like, well, who am I to like talk about this? Like they don't
Yeah.
people, or feeling like I was going to push people away. Like if people aren't wanting, if they're not saved, if they don't know Jesus, like they're not
Yeah.
going to hear about this, then they're not going to want to work with me. And I'm like, well, I feel like my own journey, my own story, like
Hmm.
I would be dead if it wasn't for Jesus.
Right.
And I have to share that. Like he
Yes.
literally saved my life, quite literally saved my life.
Yeah.
Uh, and I have to share that. I can't not share that. And when I was not sharing that, I felt like I was being like disingenuous to myself,
Right.
my own like journey. I would share other parts of the journey, but it just felt like it wasn't the whole thing. So as soon as I
Right.
surrendered to that and
Yeah.
was like, all right, God, I hear
Got
you.
it. Yeah.
I will do it. And I started walking in obedience with that. Um, like it just feels so much more aligned and powerful. And I'm
Yeah.
attracting the people who want to hear it or need to hear it,
Hmm.
um, which I feel like is divine intervention at its.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
good for you
Thank
for
you.
that leap. That's really, really cool. Um, there was so many things that you said that I wanted to go to. Um, so I love that you bring in every time I do a podcast, I have this same like I don't know if you want to call it like realization or like I know this, but this same topic comes up every time.
Mm.
And that is that no matter what your like specialty is or your niche, like you use genomic testing, like my focus is on trauma recovery, like
Hmm.
no matter where you are, the foundation of health is still the foundation of health, right?
Hmm.
And so I would love for you to kind of just talk a little bit more about that piece of it. And you kind of just mentioned it a little bit and like how important those pieces are in your own opinion and in your program and what you've seen clinically.
Yeah. So, addressing our sleep, addressing our gut. I didn't know how important the gut was. That is mind blowing, and I know that we're only going to continue to learn more about that. But there's so many different ways that we can address our health and get to those root causes. And I feel like, in pharmacy with medicines, we're just addressing the symptoms. And so, why is your blood pressure high? Why is your cholesterol high? Why are you having trouble sleeping? Where did the anxiety start? The depression? Because it didn't start because you lacked this certain medicine, that there was something else that's going on. And so our mindset, our thoughts, I've been spending a lot of time lately talking to I have a membership program, talking to them about our thoughts and the negative thought patterns that we can have and how they can show up in our health, because your brain finds what it's looking for. And so if you're stuck in this cycle where everything is all or nothing, I have to follow the plan perfectly or I've failed, that sort of thing. If we don't address that, then I can create all the meal plans and the recipes and have all the information from your test results. But if you don't believe that you can change, you're not going to.
Yeah, I love that. I often say to people, because I feel the exact same way, like the medications, it's just a band-aid. So
Yeah.
if you have high blood pressure and you're not asking why do you have high blood pressure, and you're just putting somebody on lisinopril, like
Yeah.
you have better blood pressure with lisinopril, but you also are going to change biochemically what's going on inside of your body. You're
Hmm.
also potentially going to have side effects from that
Right.
medication. You're also likely going to need increased doses as your body becomes tolerant to that medication over
Yeah.
years or decades potentially. And
Yeah.
then nobody's ever asking, like, so how do we get you off of this? Like,
Yeah.
nobody's ever asking that. You go on
Yeah.
lisinopril, like if you go on lisinopril when you're in your 30s, like I've had clients who come to me, like I had a client who I worked with for almost a year who was 32 and she was on 3 different blood pressure medications,
Wow.
32 years
Wow.
old. And she came off all 3 of them in
Wow.
working with me for 12 months. And all we did was lifestyle changes, like really
Hmm.
optimized her sleep, her nutrition, her stress, and we healed her gut. It's not
Yeah.
like all we did. Like those are like
Right.
big things, but like
Yeah.
that's how simple it was, It's we just addressed her lifestyle and healed her gut microbiome. And that
Yeah.
was huge. And she came off all 3 blood pressure medications.
Yeah.
Nobody had ever asked her or suggested before that she could even that could even be a
That was a
possibility.
possibility. Yeah.
So like if you're on
Or
that at 32, like, and you don't die for 60 years, like I mean like 60 years of like really? Why are we not asking these questions?
yeah. The proton pump inhibitors for decades, that
Oh
gets me
yeah.
too. That kills me. I'm like,
I
no, 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 don't.
Yeah, they're supposed to be used for like 14 days and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
just take this forever."
Yeah.
It's
And then we wonder why they have issues with mental health, because your serotonin is made in your gut. And if it's
yeah.
like you probably don't have too much acid. I'm sorry, it's just in the wrong place. So it's like, oh gosh, I feel like I did a disservice to my patients for so long. So that's part of this fueling this. Like, how can I make this right going forward? So,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that you did a disservice. I think that like it was all part of the journey, right? And like
yeah,
I really do feel like, especially since COVID, like so many people are waking up to that fact and that like the pharmaceutical industry, like, and I want to be clear here, because and this is what I was just about to say, but um I got off on a tangent, but like thank God for modern medicine, right?
right.
We
Yeah,
need ICUs and ORs and penicillin when we need it. We really do.
yeah,
And I am so thankful that we have access to penicillin and lisinopril and PPIs when we need them, because
right,
they do help people in acute situations.
right.
Thank God for the scientists who developed them and the ability to have that with modern medicine. But as far as like true health and long-term like
Mhm.
sustainability and
Yeah,
actually like improving your health, those medications are not it. Those they should be used in an acute situation to help
hmm,
you get over whatever the symptom, like help mitigate the symptom
yeah,
while you're actually fixing the root cause
right,
and and actually like restoring balance into your body that God inherently designed us with.
right.
You don't actually have to think about like
when you cut your hand, you don't have to think about healing that.
Yeah.
It just
Yep.
heals. Like your body internally is the same as it is externally. Like you just sometimes need to like give it what it needs, like some sunlight and some water and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
phytonutrients and like
Yeah.
you just need to give your body what it needs and the balance will naturally restore because that's how we're designed by God.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's my TED Talk. Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Um, um anyway, yeah, so let's see. How so when we're talking about these like lifestyle modifications and
Hmm.
really diving into those foundational pillars, what are some practical, I can do this now. I don't have to go to a doctor. I don't have to,
Hmm.
I mean, I believe in the power of coaching and I think
Yeah.
everybody should work with a coach. I personally still work with a coach. Like I
Yes, me
have my
too.
own coach for both
Yes.
my own health and
Yeah.
business. Like I think that I know the true power of coaching. You can't see
Yes.
the label on the outside of the bottle. Like you sometimes need somebody to reflect that back to you. So
Yeah.
good coaches hire coaches. So I really do believe in the power of that, but I feel like sometimes there's hurdles to that, right?
Yeah.
Cost, self-doubt, all of these like things that we can
Yeah.
actually help you get through faster. But if somebody, for the woman who's listening right now, who's like, oh my gosh, that's me. I
Yeah.
feel like crap. I don't have any energy. I'm anxious. I'm
Hmm.
depressed. I feel overweight. I don't, I'm on all these medications. I don't know what to
Hmm.
do. The doctor says all my labs are normal. Ooh,
Oh, yes.
that really gets me really bad. But I don't know what to do. Like,
Yeah.
what can she do right now today to help improve her health?
Yeah. So I think sleep is so foundational to everything. Sleep is necessary for our body to rest, to recover, and to be able to function fully the next day. And that was something that I saw in my own life with working the schedule that I did. When I first started, it was 14-hour days. You would work 2 full days, then have 2 days off, and then, work the weekend, and the cycle would continue. And so on those days off, I would sleep in because I was so exhausted. And then the second day off, I'd be like, okay, now I can do a little bit. Now it's back to work. And so that cycle of, waking up early, sleeping in, waking up early, sleeping in, that really wreaked havoc. And I did not realize how bad that was on my body until I started to wake up at the same time each day. Even if it's a holiday or a weekend, I'm waking up at the same time or within at least 1 hour. So that has been really foundational for me. And if that's part of the problem, we have to address it. We can't ignore and be like, oh, I'll catch up on my sleep when I'm dead. I'm like, no, no, you won't. It's only going to get worse. And you're going to see those ripple effects from that. And then also, as I mentioned, our thoughts, because what we believe about ourselves, that is going to be our reality. And so I've taught people, first you have to notice your thoughts. And you may be saying, oh, I know my thoughts very well. And you may, but I'm willing to challenge you and say, I bet you have more thoughts all throughout the day than you even realize. Things that you think about yourself, maybe identities, beliefs that you've had for years, or maybe since your childhood, that they're such a part of you, you don't even realize that they're there. So, write them down, get a notebook or put it on your phone. Notice the thoughts that you have throughout the day. Are there any patterns there? And then begin to challenge those negative thoughts. I'm not good enough. I'll never be healthy. I feel gross. So, I'm unhealthy. Or, I only walked 15 minutes today. I'm lazy. Whatever those thoughts are that you have about your health, notice them, challenge them by asking some questions. Is this 100% true? What evidence is for this thought or against this thought? And then my favorite is, if my very best friend had this thought, what would I tell her?
I love that.
And then begin to reframe or to replace that thought. How can you have a different thought, a more positive thought? And then we don't stop there with just having a new thought. A new thought is great, but we don't want it to just stay a thought. So what is one small action step you can take? And this is what I teach my clients. Oftentimes we want to have this big, grand 20-step plan revolution, and those are great, but those aren't really sustainable. So what is one step, one small step, not 20, just one, that you can take to prove to yourself that this new thought I have, it's valid, it's true, and I can do this, whatever that thought is. And so those are just two things, your sleep and your thoughts. When you address those, then other things start to fall into place.
I love that. So many good action steps. And so many ways for the woman who's listening to actually like implement these changes in our life, and these small consistent actions are what's going to breed the confidence, build that confidence in yourself to be able to like stack those habits over time. It's like you do one small thing now, and then you add to it once you become a master at that. And then once you become a master at that, you add another thing. And it's a slow transition over like lots of times, like multiple years. It's not like, I mean, about you, but like my journey, it was like, I mean, healing is a journey. It's not a destination. You don't get to a place where you're just done. I mean,
you're like, oh, I'm all healed now.
Yeah. I've arrived. Like, if somebody tells you that that is how it is, that they're lying, because that's not but like for me, I've been on this journey for like over 20 years. So it's like it doesn't happen overnight. You just get better and better. You learn more. When you know more, you do better. And you just can, you know, keep going in the direction that you want to go, and keep trying to yourself. So many good tips, Melissa. Thank you so much for sharing everything. Everybody should go work with Melissa. I talked about the power of coaching. If you want to achieve your goals, really a coach is such a valuable tool in your pocket to be able to meet those goals. We all have limiting beliefs. We all have negative thought patterns that we're trying to get out of. And working with a coach is somebody who you can build a rapport with, build a relationship with you, to reflect back what's on the outside of the bottle. So you can't see it yourself. Maybe they're going to see things a little bit differently, and they're going to give you a perspective and help you achieve those goals. So if people want to work with you, Melissa, or if they want to just like chat with you or have questions, what's the best way for them to reach out? How would they get a hold of you?
So my business is Turnaround Wellness. My last name is Turner. And so that's my goal, is to help women turn their lives around. And so you can find Turnaround Wellness on Facebook, on Instagram. I do have a YouTube channel, and my website is turnaroundwellness.com.
I love that. And all of those links will be in the show notes. So definitely, if you have questions, reach out to her, go follow her on Instagram. She has a ton of information and great content for you to consume. Thank you again so much for being here. It was such an honor to chat with you and get to know you a little bit better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for listening. If you resonated with this episode, then please share it with a friend. Share it on your social media. Help us get the word out to other people. You are your best advocate. You can always heal. It is always possible. Take care.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Holistic Health with Melissa. It is such an honor to have you here. If you found value in today's episode, would you share it with a friend who might need it too, and leave us a review? If you have questions or topic suggestions, reach out on social media or visit our website, holistichealthbymelissa.com, and take care. I'll catch you on the next episode.